Okay, let's talk about something that doesn't always get the attention that it deserves, and that's high functioning anxiety. And I want to talk about that a little bit. So I'm going to say pull up a chair, except most of y'all are probably sitting, and don't worry about not seeing me. It is just the audio, y'all. So you could even keep working, keep cleaning, keep doing whatever you're doing in the background, and just listen. All right. High functioning anxiety. You've probably heard that term before, but do you know what it really means? High functioning anxiety is kind of sneaky because on the surface, you kind of look like you got it all together. You're doing everything. You're showing up to work, you're hitting the deadlines, you're taking care of everyone around you. But inside, it's a different story. There's this constant push, this sense that if you stop, everything might fall apart. Does that kind of sound familiar? Does it sound like you? If it does, do me a favor and just hit like wherever you're listening to this and share. I appreciate you. And we're going to keep getting into it. High functioning anxiety is something that really thrives on doing. And it's what drives us to over prepare, overcommit, and overthink. And a lot of us are probably over it, right? But we don't even know how to stop, right? And we keep going, even though it's taking this crazy toll on our bodies and our minds, right? And that can look like staying up late because it feels like I want to give myself time and take my day back and all of that. But it's really because, you can't settle to get to sleep, right? It's because there's so much in your head, so much that you're worried about that's constantly there. It can look like having a hard time leaving work at the end of the day because you need to do the next thing. And it's hard to just put it down and draw that line. It could mean taking on extra projects because you're afraid saying no might make you seem incapable or weak, right? This is a personal struggle I hear a lot for women in particular, especially in like management roles, C-suite levels, my women in tech. There's a lot of that, right? And it's a lot of competing factors because we may be the minority and, we want to show that we can be there. But I think that line kind of crosses sometimes and we are pushing in ways that's just not sustainable to us, right? Um, I think the mindset around it too, and the message that you could be telling yourself is if I just do one more thing, then I'll finally feel like I've earned the right to rest, right? And that's not a healthy balance for you either because you'll probably never earn it because there's always things to do. And I think why this is important is because anxiety also lives in your body, right? Not just your mind. So people with high functioning anxiety often experience things like stomach issues, headaches, muscle tension. All that could be related to anxiety, including the trouble sleeping that I mentioned. Even like high blood pressure. A lot of that is often related to anxiety, which is often correlated to stress, which is correlated to that cortisol. It's okay if it's going for a little bit, but if that thing is on the rise regularly in your body, it's going to start to break things down. But yet we're functioning and we want to convince ourselves that we're fine and it's normal and it's part of life. And you're right, you got to do that thing, right? Be strong, right? But girl, sit down. Or dude, pull up. Right? But I want to share some of the other ways that it can show up because we've got those physical symptoms, but I really want you guys to be aware. I think with awareness, we can change things because I think the problem is we're pushing and doing so much. We don't even know that that is anxiety, right? Or that is a problem for us. So some other ways that it might show up is just this kind of thought space of like, if I don't do the thing, people won't think I'm capable, right? We've got a lot of those like negative thoughts running for us. If I don't say yes to this project, they'll think I'm not a team player, right? Or maybe it's, I can't take a break because if I step away, everything will fall apart, right? It can also sound like regret or bitterness. Like, how could they not see how much I'm doing? Or why is it always me who has to step up? Not that that makes you pull back and stop, but it's just part of the internal noise and conversations, usually the negative ones, that's happening really in this like anxious, tired, done space, right? And these thoughts don't just add stress, they also reinforce the cycle of anxiety and overwork. They condition us to tolerate and even expect a level of exhaustion that just isn't sustainable. And here's the kicker, like a lot of us mistake this high functioning anxiety for ambition, but the difference is huge. Ambition comes from a place of purpose and excitement, while this high functioning level of anxiety comes from fear. And there's definitely a difference there. The fear of not being good enough is the drive, the fear of being judged, the fear of letting people down. And when we're leading or we're building businesses from a place of fear, it impacts everything: our health, our relationships, our ability to show up as our best selves. So what do we do with it, right? Because hopefully it's sort of clicking like, man, like I am showing up that way. Like, man, I'm like I am feeling this in my body. Like, man, like yes, these are the things that I'm thinking, right? Like, man, I'm like tired. So what do we do? So the first step is awareness, and this conversation is about bringing that awareness to you. It's like turning on the light so we can see what's really going on. Because when you recognize these patterns and how they show up, we can start to question things a little bit better. I think I'm actually going to give you some questions. So if I were you, here's where I would start. Take a pause sometimes in your day. Take your pause from or with this conversation and just think about these things. Am I doing this to move my goals forward or to move toward my goals, right? Whichever way works for you. So whatever that thing is that you're doing, really question its purpose and its intentions. Is it there to move you forward? Or am I just trying to avoid judgment or like appease someone? Ask yourself, is this level of work sustainable? Or am I pushing myself out of fear? What do I really want from this moment? And is what I'm doing serving that? All right. So these kind of questions and this sort of awareness and process, like this is stuff I'm going to be doing a lot of in our upcoming webinar. And we're going to take a deep dive into how to identify these patterns of how you think and how you show up and how to challenge the thoughts that really drive it so that you can be more intentional in your steps to get to that balanced and focused place while still kind of like leaning more into ambition, which can be more enjoyable as opposed to being driven by fear. Because fear really shuts us down in so many ways, physically, emotionally. And I think this is really the season of impact and going after our goals and showing up for ourselves. I think I've had so many conversations with people, and I love my people, y'all, because they haven't just been like distraught by what's going on with like this election and our environment and the economy. They're like, this is fueling me to do what I do even better and reminding me of how important it is for me to keep showing up because my impact matters, building community matters, supporting my people, my family, like those things matter. And I love that energy. And I want us to have the tools in the same way so that we can navigate this headspace, this emotional space, so you can go do the things that you want to do and have the impact that you want, right? So this is just going to be a great time hanging out together and looking at the things that are pulling us back, especially when it's fear-based, because it means it's not even true and it's stopping you from doing the thing, right? So we'll look at that. We'll look at where you get stuck, how it usually shows up. We'll get into some exercises, some practices, so you can really get into that space of awareness and slow down enough to make decisions that move you forward. All right. So if this is resonating with you and you're feeling like, whew, high functioning anxiety might be something you're navigating, I really encourage you to join us. That's not even a word. I encourage you to join us, all right? Because at the end of the day, you're not just meant to survive, you're meant to thrive. And that starts with learning how to take back control and not feeling like I'm losing it to everything going on around me. And not by doing more to get control back, but by aligning what you do with who you truly are and what you truly want. All right. All right. Look out for the details. Wherever this is posted, you'll see the details for the workshop that I'm talking about. Otherwise, go back and do those questions and we'll talk soon. This has been really dope. If you love it, let me know in the comments. Take care.